and we're gradually making a descent. Let me prepare you as we get ready for the big talk. Now, the big talk this morning, we're going to be focusing on issues in and around the Akwa Ibom State. So much is happening in and around the Akwa Ibom State, and my guest usually just takes our time to, talk only about issues concerning Akwa Ibom. Join me this morning as I welcome the State Director, Center for Human Rights and Accountability Network, Otwekon Franklin Ison, as we discuss issues around Akwa Ibom. Good morning, Otwekon. Welcome.
Good morning.
I'm going to say the Clapton? The Clapton or class
I said good morning, the captain of the flight. Good morning, listeners. Good to be with you this morning.
All right. So, Otwekon, let's get straight to it. Where do we start this conversation from? Do we start the conversation from the state of the roads, which of course you've always been talking about it? Do we start the conversation from the state of the cleanliness of the state? Do we start it from security? Do we start it from politics? You take the peak.
I just think we look at governance, generally speaking. For me, governance is a broad area. And so when you want to look at roads, power supply, that is electricity, security, welfare, and all of those, they are, for me, the cardinal essence of governance. Because when I came last time, I told you that if you look at the Constitution, the main essence of us having government is because we needed to have welfare and security. Section 14 of our Constitution guarantees that. And so that is, for me, that should be the basis of today's conversation. Let's also take time to do a reflection. Let's also ponder on issues that are, happening within and around Nigeria, not just only in Akwa Ibom, because most of the issues that happens around the country also has a way to snowball and have a ripple effect in the state. So it will be fair for us to also look at issues within and outside the states and then bring it down to how it affects the common man in the states.
All right, let's begin. For me, I'd like to begin with security because as we speak, since Good Friday, 20 people who were kidnapped on board that Aqua Cross boat services. They've not been released at this moment. Last week you were here, you talked about the pockets of armed robbery reports that you've also witnessed. Aside these particular ones that we talk about, are there others of concern that you've heard about that you think the government should rise to the occasion?
Basically, I just think the government should, do more in the area of security. Because if the people are given welfare, and there is no security, the welfare you're giving to them is as good as not giving them any welfare. So for me, the government need to improve more on security. Like I said, we also need to look at other states. How is security in other states? How is security in the country, generally speaking? It is becoming worse than what we even have in Akwa Ibom State. Go to Plateau State, go to Borno, go to Zamfara, go to Sokoto, across the country, Edo State, go to the southeast today. It's like a melting point. You cannot go out in the daytime. You cannot drive freely. You cannot move around freely. And life is becoming too short. Someone you see today, tomorrow you hear he's been kidnapped. Like you mentioned, I think our friend and brother, General Ode, is still being held in the dungeon of those bandits or pirates at the Cross River territory of the river that between Akwa Ibom and Cross River.
Yeah.
Because when I engaged the security agency, they said it happened in the territory of Cross River State, and they need to engage the security agencies there. So that is where we are. We need to government needs to begin to look at how do we resolve these issues. You recall when I came here last time, I told you that before the emergence of state, the society was being policed by the locals. The society was being policed by the people themselves. Because you know your area much more than I do. I cannot come from my place to come and police you. I don't have the machinery, I don't have the wherewithal to come and police you. So you are your own security. So you used to have the village heads, you used to have the chiefs, the title holders, you used to have the age groups, you used to have the masquerades becoming like being used as vigilante. And the police themselves, the society effectively. Now we have seen that it was becoming, the mighty, becoming more powerful. The life was becoming too short and British, according to the principle of Thomas Hobbes. And so we needed to now begin to moderate how these powerful persons, how this age group, how these chiefs and the rest, how are they carrying out their activities? Then we now said, let us now have what is called state. We now give our sovereignty to a state. And the essence of that was because we wanted security. We wanted we wanted the state to give us security. And good 18 in our constitution, section 14 of our constitution, makes it the primary function of government. Because that is the essence why a state is formed. It now says that the primary function of government is to provide welfare and security. Simply put, so if a government is not able to provide security and is able to provide welfare, the government is as good as a failure. Because you must be able to provide these two things, welfare and security. They go hand in hand. If you give me welfare, if you give me a vehicle and I drive down to this point, I am kidnapped. My vehicle is taken away from me. What would I say I've gained? If you give me welfare and I cannot sleep with my two eyes closed, will I say I have gained anything from government? So the government from the top should be able to give Nigerians welfare. We are like at a melting point. The government is failing. Now I read a report where I don't know how true it is, unverified report, that headers are now moving cattle into Plateau State, into the areas where they have killed people and people have been evacuated. Now cattle have been moved into those areas. So you can now see that it is practically land grabbing, which is what the governor of Plateau State was saying. If that report is anything to go by, then it means that the essence of all this, killing and maiming of people in the northern part of this country is about land grabbing, and again, it's about religious, bringing out religious agenda. So we need a government to have the political will to be able to resolve this. If a government is giving us welfare, a government is giving us much, so much of resources, so much of good things of lives, and is unable to protect me and my family, the government is not giving me anything, because the government needs to give us security. And I have said before that we need to begin to decentralize the Nigerian police force. The security system should be reworked upon. You cannot have a security, outfit where the commander-in-chief of the armed forces sit in Aso Rock and police me in Akwa Ibom, police somebody in Delta, police the other one in Edo, police the other one in Zamfara. I came here to tell you last week that we rule out the total number of total personnel of Nigerian police force was less than 500, between 370 to 400,000 in the entire country. And I gave you the figure of the Nigerian Army personnel, that of Nigerian Navy, NSCDC, and the rest. And total of it is not up to 1 million.
Let's just be generous by saying 1.5.
Well,
we're being very generous now.
If you want to say so, but if you add the figures, it wasn't up to 1 million. Now, these are people who are armed to protect the life of over 200 Nigerians. And if you go to the United Nations standard of policing, is one officer to 500 persons. How do you now, if you quantify, if you look at the figure that we have read out,
it's even more. I mean, according to the United Nations standard, it's 1 to 10.
Okay, I was just being generous. But the truth is that the figure of the personnel in our armed forces are very minimal and not sufficient enough to be able to police this state. And so we need to be able to look at how do we now mitigate. That is why I said here last time that you had the states now beginning to create, internal security outfits. Like in the case of Akwa Ibom State, you have the Ibom Community Watch. You used to have the Bakassi boys in Anambra State and in the East. You have the Egbesu boys in the job-speaking areas. You have the OPC and the likes, the Isba in the North, who are the hunters. But the truth remains that we need to begin to legalize this outfit and arm them. Because when these people are coming to attack, they are not coming to attack with their guns. Because they come with AK-47, they come well armed. They come with sophisticated weapons. And so you need to also begin to, arm your state security outfit. And better or simply put, we can have state policing. Can we now be able to look at the ways? Yesterday I watched the report where the National Assembly, particularly the Senate, was calling for a conference, security summit. And I'm like, what for? What are you talking about? What we are doing here, Ike, is summit. What I and you are doing here is summit, is talking. Summit simply means to talk. That is the truth about it. And these people are killing, you are talking. You are doing talking.
Maybe it's a summit of security stakeholders.
In security, which other one is much more than the National Security Council, which the president has been calling? That is also a summit. So I think that what we need to do is to be pragmatic, is to be more active and more, more proactive. Now you are calling for a summit. Instead of you to legislate and give us state police, which would have been the answer to the mischief, you are calling for a summit. In other words, to also spend more money, because these funds will been used to tackle issues will be used for the summit.
Otueko, hold on. There's something we need to understand, which is something we need to put in perspective. The Senate has its statutory functions to do. If the Senate has said, let us have a summit, it is because they have intel that you and I do not have. Now, the summit that they are calling for is not your conventional summit. They have a statutory responsibility to represent people. The summit they have called for will be a summit based on security reports they've collated from the several persons they represent. And hold on, Twicom. And this summit that they have called for is not your conventional come let's talk summit. In my thinking, is a summit where solutions will be preferred. So I don't think the Senate saying let's have a summit, a security summit, is an issue. No. We shouldn't stop talking about security. Whether it's being spoken to, about at the Senate, spoken on the radio, spoken on the streets, nobody should stop talking about security.
The truth is that the government talks too much and less action.
No,
we do more of talking and less action.
I disagree. The reason why I'll disagree that the government talks too much is because if the government were not talking, people will say the government is not talking, the government is quiet about what's going on in the country. Now, the government has to balance both talk and action. For me, I'm not trying to hold breath. That is exactly what I see here. If the government, you're in this country, you know Nigerians, they're the most difficult to please. When people say, okay, so they're killing people, the government is quiet, they're acting as if they don't know. And the government begins to...
The government has been talking too much. And the more we talk, the more we are being killed.
So you would rather...
Did you listen to, if you are listening to General Danjuma, T.Y. Danjuma?
I have been listening to him. He's been talking since the days of Buhari. He's been talking. Remember when he went to Taraba
That is where I'm heading to.
And he said...
he said Nigeria should... that is the point.
I know T.Y. Danjuma.
So good. So when we talk, what happened? He is from Plateau State. And he said Nigerians should defend themselves, and he made allegations, weighty ones, that the military are even backing the bandits. And these are weighty issues that...
person to allege. Adams Oshomole also alleged the same thing.
So that is the point. Did you also watch the plenary of the Senate when that issue was raised? Did you hear Senator Eyinaya Abaribe and his assertions that he has been in this Senate and they have had several summits? And nothing has come out of it. So the way out is here. We are talking about solutions. What are saying?
You see, it's good that they are talking. The reason why I said it's good that they are talking is because from the talk, more talk. To some extent, I've got the spirit of activism. So that it doesn't look like the government enjoys the people being killed, that the government likes the people being killed.
Okay,
we should call them to take action.
Can I say this?
Yes,
can I just say this?
Yes, please.
When we talk and no action, have you not seen the Senate doing several probing of several agencies? Several MDAs were probed, dramas, happened, melodramas, and the rest of it in the floor of the Senate and in the reps. At the end of the day, where are the reports?
Okay.
Have you not also? No. I'm coming.
When you
I'm
say
coming.
the
Let
Senate,
me evolve my thoughts now so that it will help you. Let me help you. Let me land.
Senate? This Senate?
Senate is an institution. Leave the first, second, third, fifth Senate. Senate is an institution.
Okay, so
the Senate, the record. I'm not. Don't leave the. You are saying what to Senate? The fifth Senate, the seventh Senate. Senate is an institution of government, and governance is a continuum.
Okay.
So you won't say because this Senate did this one shouldn't be the one to do. No, government is a continuum. Senate and the reps are established by law to carry out legislative function that will aid the good governance of the country.
Okay.
Now the point I'm trying to make here is that Nigerian government talk too much. That is where we are, and this talking too much is what is making us to be killed. Less action, but much of the talkings. Now let me say this: why is it difficult for the government to smoke out these bandits who are invading the territories of Nigeria states and killing and maiming people? Why is it difficult for the government to smoke out the sponsors of this terrorism in Nigeria? But it is easier. It's easier for the government to smoke out any content creator alleging that he or she has breached the Cybercrime Act in this country.
Okay, so
I just saw a report. No,
can I say something?
You say it. Yeah, just wait. I saw a report where an underage, a boy of underage, a minor, did a video, I think in Kaduna, with Kanu, with 5 naira notes, and defacing it and saying that he dares to be arrested, and within 24 hours, that minor was smoked out. And the question is that the same intelligence could have been used to smoke out these bandits and their sponsors.
It's like you see the police. The analogy, the story of the Kano guy, I know that story.
Good.
You see the police.
And that guy defaced himself. He did a makeup.
Hold on. You see the police, and then you put on a mascot, and then you now say that, okay, I dare the police to arrest me, I'm about to commit a crime. And then you commit a crime, whether you're wearing a mascot or not, and you think the police will not arrest you.
No, I'm not supporting. I'm saying that the intelligence they have is better, is good, is smarter and faster when it comes to apprehending innocent citizens who are not criminals, who have flouted the laws. But when it comes to those ones who are terrorists, those who have been killing and maiming Nigerians, much is not done. But we hear much of the summit, much of the proving, much of this and that, and for me, it doesn't really paid off. So what we need is more of the actions and less of the talking. Let me welcome my friend. I think he's here, Dr. B. Good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning.
You're looking fallacious.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. The government is good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I can see it on your body. It's very good.
The government is good.
We are seeing the benefit of government.
Yes. Gentlemen, now that we're done.
We have taken over from you.
No, you can't. I'm still the uncle. I still hold the yam and the knife.
Go ahead.
Where to cut from. Well, I'm glad that we have both of you in the studio because, of course, the state of the nation, insecurity in the country. Gentlemen, it is good to get another thought. Otwekong says the government talks too much, and that this talking is the reason why we are being killed. And I had argued that the government has to talk, because if the government doesn't talk, the people will say the government is not talking. I'd like to get your thought, Dr. Bede, since you've come on this conversation. Is the government talking too much rather than working or even doing something?
It depends on what it means by government, because there are different layers of government and different, arms of government. There are government arms that are there to talk. And one of them is the Senate, because they don't have executive power. They can't execute anything. Their job is to talk, bring what they have seen to the floor of the Senate, bring what people are thinking to the floor of the Senate, talk, deliberate about it, write it into a law,
and then possibly make recommendations.
Make recommendations. Their job is to talk, is to express what the country is feeling. When I was coming out, I heard to a concern saying that they should not do the summit, that they have done a lot of summits and the rest of them. That we have done a lot of summits by previous government or previous senate and nothing happened from your own point of view does not mean that summit should be stopped. Summit is a place where you bring the best brains, the best intelligent people who are experienced about a particular troubling issue or a particular policy direction to come and cross-pollinate ideas and bring out suggestions and solutions to what we are suffering. Like the Security Summit, the Senate is not saying that after the Security Summit, the senators will carry guns and ammunition and go to the battlefield and start fighting the bandits. Their job is to get experts to tell us what we should do. Their job is to get experts, get the people who are at the war front, get military men, get the villagers, get the so-called farmers, get the so-called hunters, the herdsmen, the whoever wants to talk, to come and give their own information about what is happening. After that, they take it to the executing arm of government, which is the executive. So if he dies there, you will not tell the senators, don't do your job again.
Okay.
Their job is to do their job
Okay.
and suggest to the executive and say, this is what we feel you should do. So the executive will not do it, or they may not do it.
Okay. I let me not just say I'm replying to you. I'm just making this submission. You see, the Senate is supposed to complement the National Assembly, not now, supposed to complement the function of the executive and the legislature. There should be check and balances. If the National Assembly do a summit, like you have said, now going by your own discussion here, and present its recommendations to the to the executive agent, to the executive in this case, and executive fails to implement that position of the National Assembly, don't they have the powers to compel the president to invite, summon, and even raise impeachment for flouting what has been duly passed by the National Assembly, which has become an act of the Assembly? Whatever is passed by the Assembly becomes an act, becomes a law that if it is signed by the president, it becomes it has a binding effect, and where the president fails to sign it, they can also invoke the relevant sections to override the president's veto and make it a law, because they seen the need that these particular actions will aid in the engine of government. Now, having said this, I'm not condemning the summit. The summit is a good thing.
No, I want to take you
I didn't condemn the
thing.
summit.
The Senate can recommend, the Senate can query, but the Senate cannot compel the executive.
They have the power. No, they have a quasi-judicial powers. That's what you should note.
Yeah, but they can't compel the president to do anything.
The National Assembly, the Parliament now, under a democratic system, has a quasi-judicial power. They can also, summon the president or whoever that fails to carry out the action that is deemed necessary to be carried out in the country.
They can summon, but they cannot compel.
So
they can compel. They have the powers to compel through impeachment if there is need.
No, but not everything is an impeachable offense.
No.
Who says so?
It's not everything.
Go and flag the laws of the country.
Hold on, gentlemen. I wanted to put on this table that they have summoned.
Okay, that's the point we are making.
At this point, they have summoned the governors of Zamfara and Benue State alongside their State House of Assembly.
Good.
To come and explain, hold on, Otwekong. You talked about summoning, and I can be fact-checked.
I know, I agree with you.
No, hold on, you talked about summoning.
So why are you agreeing with everybody and you are still saying something that is different from what we are saying?
My agreement with you, just wait now, we are conversing. My agreement with you is to the extent that the National Assembly is doing their job.
Yes.
That is to the extent which I agree with you. And I'm also adding a provisor that having done your job, to a point, the law that created you, being a constitution, gives you the power to enforce it if it is not implemented by the executive arm.
Yeah, but they have not even done the summit.
No,
you should wait for
the question is not even this one. We're looking at the previous Senate.
Yeah, but
because I quoted Senator Eyinaya Barebe, and he said that there have been several summits on the Senate which he has been involved, and nothing has been done.
Yeah, let me tell you that I heard that too. But if you look at the Senate House, the remodeling of this Senate House started under Saraki government, and they never finished it. Gospel Akpabio came in and finished it within 6 months.
Government said continue.
So there are certain things that didn't happen in the last Senate,
which will happen in this Senate.
That will happen in this Senate.
Praise the Lord.
So what we are going to do is allow them to do their own summit.
We don't have any issue with them.
After doing their own summit, they will submit to the executive. And if the executive refuses to implement,
they can impeach.
Let us now. No, it's not.
Okay.
Everything is not about impeachment.
No, you have the powers to enforce.
They have empower to impeach. They have the power to summon.
Good.
They have the power to collaborate with the government.
Exactly.
What Nigerians need is not change of leadership or change of power, but good leadership. If by other means,
I agree.
If by other means they can bring out good leadership,
Mm.
we don't need to go to impeachment. That will bring
nobody is saying impeach anybody who is working.
Yeah, so it's not just because of one thing.
No,
you now
not
say
one thing. Security. No. You see,
and the Senate can do their summit.
Dr. B, you see,
the executive can do their summit.
No problem. The summit can be held.
CSO can do their own
yeah,
summit.
we are doing a summit here.
And you have to now bring all
That's the point.
merits of the whole summit
Good.
together. And
but
it takes time
you
to get
must
out
be able to note that the function, Dr. Bid, you see why it becomes an impeachable offense in this context is because
why are you preempting an impeachable offense?
Just listen now. We are conversing. I'm saying that why, because you said not everything is impeachable, and I'm saying that why it becomes, or why the issue of impeachment comes in here is because security and welfare under section 14 of our constitution is the cardinal function, is the primary aim of government, and where a government fails to fulfill this in a civilized climate, by now some persons would have resigned, service chiefs would have resigned, and head of government would have resigned, because you have failed to fulfill what the constitution said you should do. Security of lives. People are being killed, people are being kidnapped, abducted. Pirates will operate free hand, enter a community, rape people, and then carry out the whole community and leave. And then we are still talking about up to today, the Chibok girls are still there. They are not being released.
I don't know.
So I'm saying that when you fail to carry out the function of what is felt out in the constitution, which is the major aim of government, I gave you the theory of a state. That the state is created because before now, we are using other local means to secure ourselves. We are using the chiefs, the village heads, and the age group to secure ourselves. But now, because we needed to moderate our actions, we now give our powers to a state which was now created with territory and boundaries. Now, having done this, if the major aim of the state is to secure its citizens and give them welfare, and the government is giving welfare and has failed to give security, for me, that is an impeachable offense.
Okay. I'm now I want to ask you a question. You said
you have become Ike now.
In a sane society, people would have resigned.
Yes.
Now,
if
people keep resigning that way,
yes,
probably we will have Tinubu may be our 60th president, because every president in Nigeria would have resigned, and another person coming would have resigned. And I'm asking you, which society do you think fits into this your
analogy
of sane society?
Okay, now we are operating a borrowed democracy, a copied democracy. Look at American democracy, how it works. You don't talk too much. Action is what you want to see. Now, where you have been given an assignment based on the law and you have failed to fulfill it, nobody will tell you. You will just resign quietly, because you have not been able to fulfill what the constitutional provisions says. Now that aside, let's look at how we can cure, because I want solution here. I'm not here to discuss in this our summit between Dr. Ike and myself, and after which we will go without a solution.
Well,
I have proposed.
Dr. Ike, just to add that.
I mean, Dr. Beat, and then at the end of the day, we'll go home without anything being achieved. I want to say, and I'm saying this with all sense of honesty, that the only way out to cure this mischief called insecurity that is becoming, that is now working with two legs before our four eyes, is to have state policing. And I'm sure that Dr. Beat will agree with me that state policing will also help to tackle insecurity in this country. And I gave an instance here that before now we used to have the Egbesu boys, we used to have Bakassi boys, now the government has even created, we have now created what is called the Ibom Community Watch. But are they armed? The answer is no. They only gather intelligence and work with security agencies. So if we now begin to decentralize the security agencies and give more manpower, I came here to give a statistic that we have the entire security arms, the entire armed personnel in this country are less than 1 million, Dr. Ike, Dr. Abid. So we need to have more to police over 20 million persons in this country. So we need more of men to come into the
How
security
many
agencies.
persons have been killed in Nigeria?
It's countless.
Now,
the figure keep increasing.
In America, in 2024 alone, there were 488 mass shootings in America that led to people dying.
Is it
the
justifiable?
President did not resign.
No, is that justifiable?
Was not impeached.
Is it justifiable? You don't justify those things.
There were 570 murders in UK in 2024. The Prime Minister did not resign. He was not impeached. What I want to tell you is that you should cut us some slack. You need to. Nigeria, because you're making it look as if everything is bad in Nigeria. It's not. Security is okay. Look at Ukraine. Look at Russia. Look at
they are at war.
Look at Israel.
They are at war.
Where everybody is at war.
Are we at war in Nigeria?
Look,
there is no fighting the war with.
There is no Boko Haram. It's a war.
That's the point. So if they are at war, let the government declare war.
Yeah, they've declared
take the war to
Boko
their territory. So how many have they killed?
Which territory? Which territory?
How many have they killed? Wait, you have mentioned Israel. You've mentioned Ukraine. You've mentioned you've mentioned.
If Israel bombs Gaza, they are bombing Gazans in Gaza. If Gaza bombs Israel, they are bombing Israelites in Israel. If you want to bomb Boko Haram, you are bombing Nigerians. Nigeria bombing Nigerians. So you have to be extraordinarily careful with whatever you are doing. So this is why sometimes it looks some of the things. I'm not holding brief for anybody, but these are the things that you can say.
I agree with you.
They are making the thing look so.
Now, solution. What is the solution? We want solution.
Is
we're having a summit, me and you.
What is the solution? Is that the Senate should go on with their summit. Probably this question you are asking about the solution may come out in that summit.
Okay.
So you should allow them to talk. Okay. Maybe some people that we are not allowed to talk under Buhari's regime or under Lawan's Senate may be allowed to talk under Akpabio's Senate. And then maybe the president will hear them.
Okay.
And also you yourself, you should apply to go to the summit.
Okay. I don't have to apply. I have been, you see, I am a summit person. I have attended several summits.
Yeah.
And the greatest undoing of it all is that after you waste your resources, you waste your time and attend a summit and give your positions, they are not being implemented. It's like having a public hearing. After the public hearing, you come out, what has been discussed, the public hearing is not captured at the end result of the summit. So I'm happy that we are having this conversation now, and it's going to also help to add to the Senate, knowing that people like us are, telling them that they have not been carrying out what the previous summit that they have had. And I believe that at the end of this, their proposed summit, they will come out smoky, they will come out resolving the security issues, because what we want is solution. That's all we want.
Okay, Otuekong, sadly, I really wish we had the luxury of time though, but as it stands, the conversation between you and Dr. B
the summit rather.
The summit.
Security summit.
The unplanned security summit
Summit
between
between-
you and Dr. B has engulfed what we initially planned for. But of course, security is a
It's a key
conversation
issue,
of the
yeah.
moment. And he has made valid submissions,
Exactly.
as you have made valid submissions. At this juncture, I'm going to ask that the summit gives us some time,
Okay.
so we can have some other persons join the summit.
Okay.
So
But-
no, hold on. You have had your moment.
Okay.
Let us have some other persons join this summit. Okay, since we're having a summit on radio, so join our summit unplanned. We never woke up this morning and said we're going to have a summit on radio, but now where the summit don't start, about let's finish it. 0906 000 4945. Alternatively 0906 000 5945. The alternative again for messages 0906 000 9455. Yeah, officially, let me call it a summit. We never planned for it, but of course, as the conversation progressed, it became one. Since summit.
Around that trouble Nigeria. So if they declare war, they will know that people will die massively. But since it's not war, this one is like a thief going to someone's house. Unexpected. The honor
Okay.
and the property.
Try and wrap it up, please.